Hello and welcome to the Tie Show for April 16th, 2020. Today we will talk about the NFL draft, my looks on who I think is going to go where, mainly look at the wide receivers today. According to Daniel Jeremiah, who worked for NFL.com, he put out his draft class today saying that he would have 5 wide receivers that go in the first round, and I completely agree with him. He started out with the Jets at 11, taking junior CeeDee Lamb out of OU, 6'2", 189 pounds. He had 62 catches for 1,327 yards. He averaged about 21.4 per catch, 14 touchdowns, and also had 1 rushing touchdown. CeeDee is my #1 receiver easily. Being an OU fan, I watch CeeDee. There's some hype around him that he played in the glorified 7-on-7 defense from the Big 12, and they aren't wrong about that, but out of the 5 wide receivers, he did average the most yards per catch, had the third most touchdowns, and put up the second most yards for a receiver. So I think it's pretty easy that CeeDee Lamb's the #1 receiver, and I think he'll have the best chance of doing good in the league. So I got him going to the Jets at 11. I have Jared Jeudy from Alabama at 12 to the Raiders. He's 6'1", 192, 77 catches for 1,163 yards and 15.1 per catch, 10 touchdowns. Judy's by far the second best receiver. I don't think it's any question about that. It's either Lamb or Judy. I wouldn't give it to anyone else. You could throw Ruggs up there, which I have Ruggs going 13 just for the speed, but it's just the speed there. Judy and Lamb are my 1 and 2 easily. I have Lamb a little bit over Judy just based on what I've seen. That's maybe bias coming from an OU fan, but I think Lamb's just the better receiver than Judy. So, like I said, at 13, I have Henry Ruggs the third going to the 49ers, 6', 190. He had 40 catches for 746 yards, averaging 18.7 per catch, and had 7 touchdowns. He also had 2 rushes for 75 yards and a touchdown this season. He also had a couple kick returns for a touchdown. He was really good for Bama. He has elite speed. Um, his speed goes up there with Tyreek Hill, John Ross. The man is super, super fast, and I think he'll be really good in this league too. So the thing about this draft class is I think there's some good quarterbacks, but when you look at this draft class, the main thing that you're going to get is wide receivers. There are so many wide receivers out there that I think could turn into wide receiver ones or wide receivers two for many of these teams. And that's why I do have 5 of them going in the first round. And I think there are still some that are going to go in the second and third round that are going to be good. My 4th wide receiver off the board is Justin Jefferson from LSU. Uh, I have him going 20th to the Jaguars. Junior, 6'3", 192. He had the most yards and most catches out of anyone this year. He had 111 catches for 1,540 yards, but he only averaged 13.9, which is the lowest out of my 5 wide receivers. But he did have 18 touchdowns, which was the most. He was Joe Burrow's #2 receiver technically, because Jamar Chase was #1, but Joe Burrow just put up so many stats that his #2 receiver just gained a ton of yards too. And Justin Jefferson showed out in the playoffs mostly, and it was crazy how good he was against OU in that first playoff game. But I have him going first round to the Jaguars. I think he'll be a really good addition there with Gardner Minshew and D.D. Westbrook and DJ Chark. He could slide in there as the wide receiver 3 and play pretty good for him. My last receiver in the first round goes to T. Higgins from Clemson, 25th pick to the Vikings, who need a replacement for Stephon Diggs. 6'4", 215, big receiver, had 59 catches for 1,167 yards, averaging 19.8 per catch, 13 TDs, and 1 rushing touchdown. T. Higgins looked like a superstar at Clemson from his first season, and watching him his freshman year, I knew this guy was going to be special. I think the Vikings get a complete steal here with the size of him being 6'4", biggest receiver in this first round. by far. Um, and for him to average 19.8 per catch was the second most out of the wide receivers, only other to CeeDee Lamb, who had so many yards after catch because of how elusive he is. Um, but yeah, the Vikings would get a steal with T. Higgins there. I'm going to recap where I'm thinking all my OU players are going to go because we still have Kenneth Murray, we still have Jalen Hurts, we still have Devin Gallimore, and I just want to show you where I have a projected to go. Um, I have Kenneth Murray, linebacker out of OU, junior, going 21 to the Eagles. Uh, 6'2", 234. This guy was a monster at OU. Best linebacker I've seen at OU probably my whole life. Uh, he elite talent going back to his uh, record-setting game against Army last year. He had 102 tackles this year, 4 sacks, and 17 tackles for loss at linebacker. It's crazy how good Kenneth Murray is. It felt like he is involved in every single play at some point doing something. And that's why I have him going so high. I think he'll be a perfect fit with the Eagles. They need another linebacker in that defense, and I feel like Kenneth Murray could slide in there and play pretty good. Uh, I also have the surprising one. I know this name hasn't been floated around, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears go out there with the 50th pick and take Jalen Hurts. I think that Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles isn't the answer. Uh, they're going to learn that pretty fast, is that both those quarterbacks are overrated. And I feel like you take a shot at Jalen Hurts here, who can pass, he can run. He showed you that last year. And he's 6'2", 218, which is bigger than most quarterbacks. And he's still got speed, though. He doesn't have the greatest arm, but they're comparing him to Taysom Hill. They're comparing him to Dak Prescott from what I've seen. Why not take a shot on this guy? And if anything, he plays a running back. You could use him like a Taysom Hill and use him to do anything. I think the Bears would get a complete steal here. And let's say that Mitchell Trubisky and Nick Foles are just failing, which I kind of expect them to do. You slide Jalen Hurts in there and he becomes your star. It wouldn't be that bad at all. So that's why I have him going 50. We'll look at his stats real quick. He had a 69.7% completion rating, 3,851 yards, 32 touchdowns, and only 8 interceptions. He also had 233 rushing attempts for 1,298 yards, averaging 5.6 per rush with 20 touchdowns, and he also had one receiving touchdown. Uh, this guy completely burst. I mean, compared to what he was doing at Alabama, when he transferred to OU, he was kind of expected going from Nick Saban's offense to Lincoln Riley's offense, but he showed so much more. I mean, he almost threw for 4,000 yards this year and only had 8 interceptions, which is crazy. He does have a little bit of a fumbling problem. I'll say that straight up. But I think it's easy to teach. You just got to learn how to control the ball better. My last OU player being selected will be first pick of the third round, 65th pick to the Bengals. Senior Neville Gallimore, 6'2", 302-pound nose tackle. Um, he had 29 tackles, 6.5 tackle for loss, and 4 sacks, along with 2 forced fumbles this year. Neville Gallimore is another one of those players that just seemed like he was getting involved in every play and really burst onto the scene this year more than anything. And that's why I thought he may go first round. But for one, I'm looking at the mock drafts, late first, early second. But mock drafts are putting him in the third. So I'm going to put him early third round to the Bengals. I feel like the Bengals will try anything to get a good player, and they could get a steal there. And if he's still available in the third round, the Bengals get an absolute steal in Neville Gallimore. Um, but let's move on from the draft, and let's talk about some other things that happened today with the PGA Tour announcing that they will return mid-June with the Charles Schwab Challenge. They'll play 28 events this year, which they've already played 22, ending with the Tour Championship. The final 14 go to 2020, but they will end the Tour Championship September 4th through the 7th, and then they continue the next week for the 2020 season. The first 4 events at least will have no fans, depending on the situation. But they're only going to do one major for the 2019 season, which will be the PGA Championship, which happens on August 6th through 9th. But sets them up that we are at least getting the return of golf come mid-June. Probably, I don't see why they would cancel this, especially if they're going to start with no fans in the arena or in the golf course. It should be fine. And so, come 2 months from now, we'll have sports at least. It will be PGA Tour. Uh, Going into men's golf, Ryan Hebel from OU said he's trying to help his seniors decide if they want to come back next year or go ahead and turn professional and go to the PGA or the Champions, wherever they need to go. Um, Seniors that are considering it are Riley Casey, Thomas Johnson, and Garrett Rebrand. Garrett Rebrand's the biggest name out of those. They've already had Quinn Cummins, who is their number one golfer, say that he is going to return for his senior season next year since it was canceled this year. So that's big news for OU golf. We'll see what the other three decide. I'll have more on that tomorrow. The last story of the day is Coach Mike Boyd from OSU said that he does not expect the season to be canceled because that is 8 months out. But it's too early to think about that right now. His main goal is recruiting and getting OSU to a better recruiting team, which they have had. They are a top five team right now. He did say that it was harder to recruit right now because of his kids in the house, and he's like, I can't get my daughter to climb off my shoulder, and I can't get my son to not hit me in the head with the football. But I'm getting used to it. He's like, it's just a challenge, but the more I practiced, the more I'm getting it done. So good luck to Mike Boyden on his recruiting. Get OSU as a better team. We'll see what they can do next year. But that's all my main news today. Like, leave a like, leave a comment, talk about the draft, whatever you guys think. I will see you all tomorrow. Peace.